Hi, my name is Dharmender Singh. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Mergerware Corporation, a M&A digital software firm. We are going to talk about very important topic, how M&A tech industry are evolving. And with me today, we have very important guest. And Jay is part of, primarily he's a principal analyst, channel partnership and ecosystem. He is also one of the accomplished speaker, author, and innovator in the IT industry. But I'm going to ask Jay to give a short introduction about himself. Jay, if you could like to give a very short introduction to our audience.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. And name is Jay McBain. I am an analyst across different kinds of third parties, channels, partnerships, ecosystems in general. And in doing that, I manage a channel software tech stack in terms of what makes all that work. I watch several M&A activities happening every year in that space, about 17 on average. But in the broader space, we get to see across all 27 industries a number of this activity take place. And last year, for example, there was 62,000 M&A activities around the world. And that was a 24% increase over the previous year. So given all of the different changes and things like that, it's a pretty interesting and exciting intersection in the market.
Right. So, I just went through your profile, Jay. You have almost spent 30 years, if I'm not wrong, 20 years, career roles, I think mostly in channel sales. And I see that you have worked for IBM, Lenovo, Autodesk, and so many companies. So, I have certain very important questions to ask here. With your experience, you can, go and give some of your background, how you have done. So my first question is, I think you work on so many analyst firms. So how do you see M&A digital software products evolving?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's pretty much early in the phase. If you look backwards, for example, at different buyers, the sales buyer would have kicked off in, let's say, 1999 with CRM and a company like Salesforce.com, where the entire sales model, the sales process, and the people side of it in terms of how you did your job changed. Before that, you managed sales with your gut. You thought you were born to be a salesperson. And the change happened very quickly. Within a couple of years, you couldn't get a job in sales without deep CRM type skills and sales tech. There's 5,000 other applications built around CRM to really automate the job and allow technology to work in coordination with, the human elements. Same thing happened 10 years later in marketing, where you went into that decade of marketing, with very much a belief that 50% of your marketing dollars were wasted. You just didn't know which 50%. That was pretty funny back then. That was about 12 years ago. And then companies like Marketo and Eloqua and HubSpot and Acton, Pardot, as well as others, Marketo, really changed that game. And back then there was 150 companies. And it was a couple of years into the decade of marketing that you couldn't get a job as a VP of marketing or a CMO without having those MarTech skills. Not only marketing automation, but there was 8,000 companies on the MarTech stack. Later in that decade, you saw a number of consolidation events. What changed the decade of marketing was M&A. So first off, Oracle acquired Eloqua. You had Pardot was acquired by Exact, which was acquired by Salesforce almost at the same time. And then finally, you had Marketo get acquired by Adobe. That put the fourth place player of the decade, HubSpot. When they went public, they were not acquired. And today they're worth $47 billion, real big success story for coming in fourth place of the decade. So M&A had a significant event, but that's back to the technology starting to enter the world. In M&A, we're still at the point where the software is very much point solutions. And whether it's a legal team, accounting team, an integration team, if you're working with high-end consultants, whatever the lead is in terms of the M&A, investment bankers, they're patching together a number of pieces of software to store documents, to do compliance, to do collaboration, to do the communication, to try to piece it all together. But in many cases, it just lands on a spreadsheet, which, for many reasons is not a modern, predictable, scalable, repeatable way to do it. And that's where, this decade, and I talked about the massive growth in M&A, there needs to be a better way. And for every one of these buyers, we'll look back at this category and say that's just revolutionized the way we did this without taping solutions together.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's a very important point you brought here, how the software products are evolving, because you give example of all this HarvestPod, all the different marketing tools, how they got consolidation. And now if you look at, there are so many players, there is still a strong demand of such platform to have, most of the company are using it. Okay. So, I had some point of my view here, because when I was also a deal maker, and while I was doing deals, I think, again, we had a spreadsheet, a couple of people working remotely. Nobody knows who is doing what. How, we have several tools within the company. You go to any company, basically biggest challenge what you have a number of tools. And then all information are in 10 different tools. So if you wanted to have this consolidation, making sure all the informations are together, that's how, all this M&A digital platform evolve. Because when we do cross-border deals, all your team have to work together. They have to make sure their M&A processes are working together. The team, the document management, all this piece, which are very important to be connected, they all are disconnected. So that's how, I see as a digital software market evolving. And now we have so many use cases while we work with some of the complex deals, how companies are leveraging, software platform to really expedite the M&A process. So it is not just M&A process. Process is one part, making sure people are doing right things at the right time. They are not, losing time of integration. So most of the time the deal is signed and closed and integration team is not ready. So they start after 1 year or 2 years of deal is done. So I think having digital platform is also helping company to make sure that all their process, the people, the teams, all are working from day one of the deal. So that is one of the big change I see in, digital software market.
Yeah. So where that's kind of today. Where do you see this evolving in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So, I see a big evolution now. Since the last couple of years, I've seen that most of the players company were selling virtual data room, and most of the buyers, when they really buy the company, the virtual data room is set up by, seller most of the time. Now, what happens if I'm buyer? The information which is, after deal is done, then there is no ownership of proper data. Who is going to have the deal finding? If you have, legal due diligence report, these reports are everywhere. And now we wanted to make sure that these are very critical information, and that has to be with the integration team. Now, what we are seeing that having an end-to-end deal management platform, bridging this gap, that, your buyer and seller both can start the, a deal process at the beginning. As soon as the seller have done his job, the buyer is able to take the data, integrate it, the platform becomes very seamless and well integrated. Now I see there is a strong demand to have an integrated platform and not just the virtual data. So that way company are leveraging this digital software. And not only that, their process is also evolving. Now what happens? Whenever processes are evolving, if you have a digital platform, whenever you are going to do repetitive type of deal, similar kind of deal, you really don't have to really start from fresh. You can use the same process. The tool is ready from day one. So your team, your process, everything can be digitized from beginning of the deal. So that way, what happens is adoption to the platform to the team. The people who are working on any M&A deal from the day one, they are well integrated. Another important point which I think is more critical is your knowledge management. So you might have done several deals within a company, but what happens when people leave? The information goes along with that. That we wanted to solve it, and that's how what we have done is the platform also have ability where you can store all your know-how, the deal best practices, lesson learned, and that become more of kind of building asset on a long term. So somebody, if you don't build your institutional capability of M&A within the team, then really you are not making your M&A corporate development team stronger. So that is way I see that adoption of digital M&A platform within the large company to mid to large company is very, very evolving. Companies are coming with, when we work with different type of customers, different market segment, we see that there are a lot of process evaluation happens when they are using platform, which are very difficult in Excel sheet and spreadsheet. And I know that there is a strong demand for having this digital firm. Either you are private equity firm, or you are large corporation, or you are mid-market customer, or even you are investment banker or legal firm. Now this process of legal firm, if you look at legal firm, the way they do the M&A deals, the informations are there, but they are not centralized. We wanted to give this digital platform so that they can decide their process, so they are efficient, and also they are not losing lots of time. The all information, the know-how of the deal, the one point solution for everything. So that's how I see this M&A digital software evolving very rapidly, and I'm sure that in coming years the adoption of this type of tool will increase in the market. Is that you have any additional question? I'll be happy to answer, but I think this is my view, how I see M&A digital software market evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I view M&A, the entire process, much like you look at a pretty complicated project.
Yeah.
And, as a project manager, you have, tools at your disposal, like a Gantt chart.
Yeah.
And the number of, the timeline, the dependencies, the milestones, the way you look at it. You also look at it a little bit like the sales process.
Yeah.
There's a funnel. And for highly acquisitive firms, big system integrators like, Accenture, who seems to make an acquisition every business day.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big tech companies who make acquisitions on a weekly basis, in the hundreds every year, they have a funnel of thousands.
Yeah.
So I just heard, Chuck Robbins, who's the CEO of Cisco. Last week, there was a big rumor that they were going to be acquiring Splunk for $20 billion. And obviously, they don't comment on rumors, but they've made close to 300 acquisitions as he's reforming that company from what was a networking company to now it's over 30% software and going into subscription and recurring. That's the way forward for this company, is through M&A. And so he said that while they don't comment on rumors, they're looking at probably 20 deals for every one that might come to fruition, or one that might be rumored or leaked in this case.
Yeah.
And in that case, you got to understand that, one company may be looking at perhaps 1,000 deals at any one moment across all major parts of their portfolio.
Right.
And, a company like Cisco, which I mentioned, is probably looking at hundreds of security companies. And today there's 4,300 security companies that they might be considering to bolster some previous acquisitions like Duo and things. So there's an example of just one company who has a big funnel.
Yeah.
And that funnel runs like a project. It runs like a sales process, almost moving it from top of funnel to mid funnel to those areas of engagement of where now the investment bankers and others get involved. And obviously the accounting and taxation folks and the legal folks. So you start to layer in these third parties. And that's an area that I work in, kind of the channel, third party tech. How do you drive the coordination? How do you drive the communication? How do you drive the collaboration on every one of these moments? And there are parts of the project that certain elements, become key. And there's milestones that need to be hit before other elements can be laid in. A lot of M&A is not just a parallel track across everybody involved, there are certain parts of the deal that get very interesting for very specific folks. So you got to know during the due diligence phase, all the players that are involved, and more specifically, the players that aren't really involved during the due diligence phase, until that team gives the green light. And then, you involve other teams. So understanding this as some massive project on some massive Gantt chart takes technology. It takes a set of automation. There's a set of almost predictive, prescriptive elements to it as well. Once you have 62,000 deals, there are a lot of repeatable processes and workflows and business logic. There's repeatable, pieces to these things that you don't have to reinvent the wheel each time. And the software can get smarter and start to say, at this stage of due diligence, or with this time delay, or with these firmographic or demographic elements, the M&A activities in this industry, with this size of company, with this formulation, here's 1,000 data elements that we can scrub from the public web and from private sources. And given the history of the world, our belief is that this deal has this chance of succeeding. And the M&A process probably has this timeline to it. And so you can make everyone in the room smarter by some AI, obviously the automation, the predictive, prescriptive elements, now make everyone better. It's not just a better spreadsheet. It's a tool that, to Rex, if I'm looking at thousands of potential deals, it can actually show me what the propensity, to close those deals would be, and where perhaps the lowest hanging fruit is, out there, more so than humans that are studying each one in specifics, could be able to do.
Exactly. So as you rightly said, the company who are doing 400, 500, maybe pre-deal process, looking at, larger deal pipeline, they cannot manage in Excel sheet. They need a tool which where, they can just log in, they can see all the information together, instead of looking at, Excel sheet every time, updating information, which is time consuming and it's not productive. So, and most of the company, and you gave example of Cisco, and I know many companies, they have the critical challenge, their teams are spread, almost cross border. Most of the time they are out of different countries, different teams. So if you look at large company, they have corporate development team, then within business there are M&A team, and they all have to work together. And this process of manual process of gathering information, storing in a common drive, I don't think this is going to continue further. When you wanted to, it's not just closing the deal, you wanted to make sure that all deals have a purpose, all deals, what are objective of acquisition, that gets fulfilled. Your deal performance is up to the business plan, the way you have done your business plan, and you are trying to achieve those while you are integrating both the companies. And there are a lot of other things which are very critical for the success of the deal. So I think, as you said, that this company have a repetitive task, and I have seen in most of the deal across the stream, across business function, and all your global function, there are a number of activity defined by each team, and really they are repetitive across all the deals. And now people are spending lots of time sitting on Excel sheet, updating that which task is priority 1 or 2 and 3, and everyone have priority 1 or 2,000 list of activity to be done, which is not impossible. It's not possible at all to do it. So how we really go and automate this, and this is the way a digital platform can help you.
Yeah. So what's interesting with the cross-border stuff you're talking about, there's so many layers of compliance that need to be met. The legislation, the regulation, when you're doing those type of deals, can change not only country to country, but they can change state to state and province to province, municipality to municipality. So the layers of detail there. So the governance that's needed. And just to throw in a real world example, so companies, we'll just keep using Cisco for examples.
Yeah.
They withdrew their work in Russia a couple of weeks ago. So now, as I'm managing these 1,000 potential deals at Cisco, how would I go inject that into 1,000 different deals, running 1,000 different processes, and somehow be able to govern that we weren't buying into something it could end up being either a dead asset or something that we couldn't execute on. It passed maybe due diligence through a different time in the world. It passed through all of our gates that we had. But if I overlay that on 1,000 deals and I have all of the members of the deal, I want a legal opinion, I want a financial opinion, I obviously want a taxation opinion, but now I want a geopolitical opinion. So I might bring in experts that say, this security company that I'm looking to acquire was founded in Russia, but now it runs out of the UK. So I need to do another layer of due diligence backed through the ownership and back through the cap table. To make sure that there's not elements there that, 2 weeks ago, we wouldn't have fathomed would be part of this. But now I can layer this into 1,000 deals in real time. And, every single one is at a different stage of the project. And I can add that in and be able to manage and report back very, very quickly to, right up to the senior leadership team that this new thing that happened, and guess what? We always have new things. In the last few years, we got hit with a global pandemic. We've got, we have a war in Europe that most of us thought we would never see in our lifetime. So when you're planning for the future, there's going to be every year, perhaps every quarter, there's going to be things that not only may affect one or two of the deals that you're working on, but may affect them all. And it's an additional question. It's an additional set of due diligence, additional, set of opinions and collaboration that needs to happen to get things across the finish line. And that's where, this world is very complex. And if you don't have that set of governance, you're really not doing your job effectively.
Okay. So I think, since you spoke about Cisco, all these challenges, what you are facing. So I have one more question. Maybe it's not question, it's like a point to make here. So how do you think that M&A Technology can help, better deal makers? Either they are part of private equity or legal firms, or maybe accounting firm, or maybe a corporate house. How would you think about this? How tech can help?
If I'm one of these firms, I'm thinking about my own productivity. I'm thinking of my own profitability. And if I walk into a deal that's managed end to end with a central platform, and that my time is well predicted, in terms of these work streams, and almost, again, I work by the hour if I'm in these type of firms. And I understand that my part of the project is going to be a heavy, let's say, week. And when my 7 days, what I don't want to do is land the heavy period across, 10 different deals. I'm going to work, 120 hours that week, and that's just not going to work. So what I want to do is make my life more predictable. And if I'm working on a deal that, is being run off spreadsheets and Box and Dropbox and just a bunch of slapped together tools, my cost and therefore my price to enter that deal, could have been $20,000. And if I'm walking into a deal that is managed end to end and it's predictable and I don't have to waste a lot of time with side chatter and conversations and trying to connect the dots and trying to figure out who's running this project end to end. If I can see it on a Gantt chart, and if that integrates with my own calendar, if that integrates with my own processes, and if I can start adding some of those repeatable, scalable processes on my side, so I'm not reinventing the wheel, I might charge $15,000 for a deal like that versus 20.
Yeah.
And I'll be more profitable charging 15, and I'll be able to do more of them.
Mhm.
And I'll be very excited to work across that platform and contribute to that platform, almost like I might contribute personally to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I know that the data that I'm putting in, the
Mhm.
processes that I'm putting in, the actual workflows, and again, the logic and the processes that I run on my side, the more I can operationalize them. And if this software with low code or no code allows me to build a last mile solution. So I'll remind everyone that 78% of legal companies are quickly becoming tech companies. 81% of accountants are tech companies doing tech services and other things.
Yeah.
They're very interested in productizing their services. It's more profitable, it's more repeatable.
Yeah.
And if I can use a software like this to say, here's my M&A practice, here's my M&A practice as it's worked within the system, and here's how my product works. And it might be in a specific geography. It might be in a specific industry or sub-industry.
Yeah.
But you could talk about mid-sized clinics, healthcare clinics with 50 doctors. If I happen to be the global expert on mergers in that space, and I'm an accountant, I can actually repeat that and build a product that is branded to go do that. And when the next deal that comes up at a mid-sized clinic somewhere, guess what shows up on page 1 of Google? Guess what people recommend is this company that does this over and over and over again and doesn't need to learn on each project.
Right.
And so as every one of these companies, 80% of them are looking to become more software-based technology companies. They're looking at platforms where they can convert their services. And this is the most important thing for them. More profitable, more repeatable. And much like Cisco, they're moving to a subscription consumption model too.
Yeah.
So it revolutionizes every part of an M&A. And every company should be thinking in this service to product world, no code, low code, robotic process automation, and how to make what we do less customized, less human-based. And that's the ticket forward for growth.
Right. So I think I fully agree. And in my experience, while I was on deal, so I have done deal without any tool. I have done deal with tool, where I can automate most of my repetitive tasks. I can go and upload all my document. I can give different set of permission. Teams are sitting across different geographies, but we all are working on the same mission. We all are working on the same set of documents. We all are working on the same set of activity which are assigned to different country guys. And then if I'm the deal sponsor, I can go and see all the deal information in one place. So I don't have to really write an email to different country managers or M&A controller asking you to give information. And that way, what happens, having this tool is not only speeding up the process, but it takes out a lot of your tension away, because you don't have to really write an email, drop things. Most of the time, you can set up your meeting directly from the platform. Right? You don't have to really, spend any time on all manual process. And that's how I fully agree on your point that go to legal firm. They are not just legal firm, the tech legal firm. They are automating their M&A process through tech. And I think that is what I see as a future. So if you wanted to do more, if the legal firm wanted to do more legal M&A, then they would need to have not only legal M&A, but have a legal M&A tech. So they automate most of the things. They are productive. And now earlier it was just important that how many deals a tech firm, legal firm can do. Number of deals, that was their measurement of success. But now it is no more. How many deals are successful? How many deals you are working where customer have said that the deal which you signed and closed that are successfully integrated, and we see the business value. So that's how I fully agree with your points. And I understand that why you said this tech is so important now, and I can see through my experience.
Yeah. So like you said, though, other than the front end of what I said of making your business better, bigger, faster, and cheaper to run, is the integration piece.
Yeah.
All of these firms are running software.
Yeah.
They're customer billing system. They've got their professional services automation system. They've got their calendaring system. This is hourly work. So they're time management systems.
Yeah.
So they've already got a tech stack.
Yeah.
I mean, these companies, are not running on pen and paper.
No.
So the idea is you've got this M&A practice, and one that perhaps is profitable and you want to grow, and you can see the market growing at 24%. So, this is a really good piece of business that's not commoditized at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So now I'm going to look for and I said, we're early on in this phase.
Yeah.
So I want to look for this platform to integrate into all of my tech stack. Yeah. I don't want to have anyone, one of my legal assistants or one of my accounting assistants, take information from one system and move it to another and type it into another system.
Yeah.
I want it all to seamlessly come in to my systems, and even at the point of financial.
Yeah.
Here is my $15,000 contribution to this process. All of the billing, the payments are integrated into my system, and it lands, in our bank. I want to make sure that calendaring and the time management, I want to make sure that the professional services automation, and then of course, the product, the actual repeatability, where I could grab 80% of what we did on this deal and operationalize it for the next deal, automate it for the next deal. That all is the panacea, I think, of a professional services firm of any type.
Yeah.
And for an investment bank or from a integration firm or from a big consulting firm, whoever is kind of leading the tip of the spear on the M&A activity, it behooves them to offer up these opportunities for maybe the dozen or more people that are going to be involved in each particular deal.
Right. I think, one important point you brought here about, how we can integrate this, this platform with other systems. And I think that is very key. And we have seen that any company you go, any large company you go, they have Salesforce, they have HubSpot, they have marketing automation tools, they have other tools. Calendly, you gave an example. All these tools are, they're separate tools, and they are, they use it for different purpose. The biggest challenge for them is having an integrated view. And that's why M&A software platform become more integrated platform within the company that, if they want to fetch information, if they want to integrate and, communicate about deal information via Slack, because many companies are using Slack now. So you can do directly through the platform. They don't have to come out and, do deal information and setting up a meeting separately by Calendly. Everything you can do from platform. And that is the goal of M&A software platform, that you automate all of the stuff from your platform itself. You don't have to go out and use 10 tools. Replace your tool, 10 or 20 tools, make M&A platform as a one tool. And you can go, through our API integration, you can go and connect to other tools like Salesforce, and I gave you any tool. Microsoft Teams, many companies are using Microsoft Teams, many are using Microsoft SharePoint to store documents. You don't have to do that. If you are using M&A software platform, they have integrated M&A, virtual data room, where you can go and automate all your document process. So that is the way we can, bring more automation. So
and we got to make sure, in the end, we got to make sure we don't oversell this.
Of course.
So we're early in this journey, and trying to compare a Salesforce or in 1999 to 2009 to 2019. Here's a company on its way to $1 trillion valuation. And to try to look at CRM today and compare it back to where it was in 1999, it's very different. And there was no lightning bolts and no lightning flows and all the layers of tech that have been built around it, including acquiring Slack, including Tableau and MuleSoft and all the pieces that big company has now become. Same thing with HubSpot. Looking at HubSpot 12 years ago, had a few hundred people and a big idea, and they did a bunch of great inbound marketing, but trying to look at the HubSpot platform today as a $47 billion company, where it was 12 years ago. So this is where we are right now in this category. We are early. And the integrations that we visualize, many of them haven't come to fruition yet, but it's roadmap type of things to get there. It's this LinkedIn approach where everybody's going to be motivated to come and add to this platform and to really build out their own visibility in the platform. we're still ahead of that curve.
Yeah.
Right now, we're solving base issues around this automation, the project, and collaboration. I mean, we're solving for that, but I think we're only 20% of the way there.
I know. I fully agree.
It's an exciting decade.
Yeah.
And this category, as M&A continues to grow year on year on year,
yes,
we'll get more focus, and there'll be more demand for everybody involved to make the software better.
Exactly.
And that's where we're going.
Yeah. So as you said that it's evolving, and I can fully say that first approach was, bring people who are using Excel sheet to the platform. And that is the step one. And then work with them, look at what customers are looking for, what is the critical challenge they have while they are executing deal on daily basis. Look at those problems, solve them. So if you look at, I see personally this working with customers, working with deal makers, working with legal firm, and look at their process, how they are struggling while they're, how we can make them efficient, how we can make them a deal productive. And that is the approach we have. And I think that's the, there are lots of opportunity to partner, work with them, learn from them, make mistakes, correct them, and grow. So this is
a great conversation. Great conversation, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your time, and we'll have another podcast very soon, and that will soon maybe we'll choose another topic related to M&A, and we'll speak about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.